This is Israeli news with Yoeli for April 16, 2025. The head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, Rafael Grossi, warned in an interview with the French newspaper Le Monde that Iran is not far away from a nuclear breakout. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. The parts are with them, they can connect them, he said hours before his visit to Tehran. Israel had planned to attack Iran's nuclear facilities, in full cooperation with the United States, possibly as early as next month, but these plans were cancelled or significantly postponed by U.S. President Donald Trump, in favor of the diplomatic efforts he launched in an attempt to reach a nuclear agreement with Tehran. This was reported by the New York Times, citing senior Trump administration officials. According to the report, the reason for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's urgent trip is an attempt to change Trump's decision, which failed. The U.S. IRS plans to revoke Harvard University's tax-exempt status in response to the institution's refusal to change its policy on dealing with antisemitism. This was reported by CNN. The report said that a final decision on the matter should be made soon. Yesterday, the Trump administration announced that it was freezing more than $2.2 billion in grants and contracts worth $60 million to Harvard University, due to its unwillingness to cooperate with the demands. Anti-Hamas demonstrations resumed in Beit Lahia in the northern Gaza Strip. Hundreds of people marched in the city and chanted slogans against the terror organization, "We want to live in peace, Gaza is humiliated, and yes to brotherhood, no to terrorism." Captivity survivor Ilana Grachevsky participated in the Chol Hamot events in the abductees' square and described in a speech the horrific moments of her abduction. "They grabbed me by the hair, kicked me in the stomach, loaded me onto a motorcycle and put plastic wrap on my head so that I wouldn't breathe. If that wasn't enough, I was sexually harassed, I was touched all the way to Gaza," she bravely shared. She also said that one should not get used to a situation in which the abductees are not at home. "The promise to bring my friends back from the tunnel alive accompanies my rehabilitation journey." The American magazine Time announced the list of the 100 most influential people in the world for the current year, which included captivity survivor Noah Argamani. "Noah is living proof to the world that we will dance again," wrote Doug Imhoff, the husband of former Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris, in the explanatory notes to her election. Britain's Supreme Court has ruled that the country's Equality Act defines a woman only as someone who was born as a biological female. Therefore, transgender women who hold a certificate confirming the sex reassignment process will not be considered women under this law. At the same time, the court added that the ruling does not remove the protection of transgender people, who are protected from discrimination on the basis of sex reassignment. The petition was filed following a 2018 law passed by the Scottish Parliament, which stipulates that 50% women must be represented on the boards of directors of Scottish public bodies, and included transgender women in its definition of women. Iran's Fars news agency reported that Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi will fly to Russia in the shadow of the nuclear talks with the United States, with the aim of conveying the leadership's message to President Vladimir Putin. He said, "We are hearing contradictory positions from American officials, which will not help the negotiations. I believe that we can start a dialogue on a framework for a possible agreement, if the American side comes up with constructive positions. We must learn his true positions during the next round of negotiations." Araghchi added that the principle of uranium enrichment is not negotiable. IDF sources said that discussions are being held with the political echelon regarding the return of humanitarian aid to Gaza, and ways to prevent Hamas from taking control of it. The IDF stressed that there is no starvation in Gaza and we will act to ensure that there is no humanitarian crisis, in accordance with international law. "We don't want to give Hamas power." The suspension of humanitarian aid has led to damage to Hamas governance in the Gaza Strip, price increases and pressure on Hamas by the citizens. In addition, IDF figures show that since the return to fighting about a month ago, about 250,000 Gazans have been evacuated from their homes, and about 350 terrorists have been attacked, including 40 Hamas commanders and knowledge centers. Palestinian Authority Chairman Mahmoud Abbas is expected to visit the Syrian capital Damascus tomorrow and meet with President Abu Mohammed al-Jolani. They are expected to discuss issues related to bilateral relations, in light of the large presence of Palestinian refugees in Syria. Their last meeting took place about a month and a half ago on the sidelines of the Arab Emergency Summit in Cairo. Abbas' visit will be the first since the fall of Bashar al-Assad's regime. The Saudi TV channel Al-Hadath quoted an Israeli security source as saying, "The Turkish-Israeli talks continue to prevent friction in Syria. The Turks have conveyed messages to Israel that they are not interested in confrontations with it, despite the statements of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Yesterday, Erdogan threatened that anyone who seeks to provoke conflicts in Syria will find himself in front of us. Some of the officials are trying to test Turkey's patience. Thank you so much for reading and listening. If you have enjoyed or benefited from this material, please visit all of Yoeli's YouTube channels and subscribe. Forward to those who might benefit or be interested. Yoeli's YouTube channels include the following.